Hello, everyone. This is Margie Ramos of Original and Unconventional Podcast. And today we are here with MirLiponi. She is the head of communications at Plan B Network. And she's also the co founder of Blockchain Lab. And that one was based in Milan, right, Mir?
Right. It was a long time ago. We are talking about Bitcoin history, but it was like a giant project at a time. It was a really, really big experience that I'm always think about it because it was really important for me personally.
Yeah, so maybe you can tell us a little bit about your origin story, right? Like, how did you get into
Yeah,
Bitcoin?
yeah, sure. So to me, Bitcoin came in different phases, actually. The first time, my husband, Giacomo, it was already my husband. It was probably around 2014. We talked about Bitcoin. And I told him, this is really good for you. I love this. Quit your job and do this Bitcoin only. But it didn't feel like a connection to me and to my personal story until I met physically Bitcoiners in New York, actually. It was around 2015, 16, and I met Bitcoiners. And then I was like, oh my God, this technology is super cool, but the people are even better. I was like listening to them and their stories, their passion. They were so keen to do incredible project about like changing the history of the humanhood. And I was like, oh my God, I want to help these people. I want to be in contact with these people. So this is something that related to me too. And so I joined it, and I also quit what I was doing at the time to do full-time Bitcoin things.
I see. So, what were like the first things that you were doing in the Bitcoin space? Like, were you always in communications?
No, actually, at the time, I was like, we were building Blockchain Lab. It was a physical hub in Milan. So we were doing research, we were doing like consulting, we were doing a proof of concept around Bitcoin. And I was like, how can I help? I will do whatever is needed. So, of course, a lot of communication and marketing. That at the time, it wasn't even a thing in the Bitcoin space. We were like few people doing things. We were discussing online. So, in a way, we had to create this idea. I was like organizing the Bitcoin meetups every week and every month. So I was doing events also. And I was like learning about Bitcoin all the time, connecting startups and projects between each other. I was doing PR. I was doing also, I discovered later that there is a term which is a dev relationship with dev. It was a thing I was doing a lot at the time. But of course, the Bitcoin ecosystem really grew during these years. So at the moment, we have more specific job role and more specific fields where we can put ourselves. But still, we are in the early phases. So it's very typical in the Bitcoin world that in a startup, you are basically doing whatever is needed. And also, it's really humbling you because you're learning new things all the time. But if you have like to do logistics, basic stuff, for example, here in Lugano, I helped a lot, like moving chairs for the events. It's just normal. We do whatever it's needed, and it's just like for the good of Bitcoin, and it's okay for us.
You got into Bitcoin in 2014, but you got more involved
Yeah,
around 2015, 2016, right?
yeah,
So,
right.
how was the scene back then? Especially for women.
Well, I was probably, I wouldn't say the only one, but you have to imagine, for example, on Twitter at the time, we were just like the same 100, 200 people always talking with each other. We were like same people. And so Bitcoin women, probably 4 or 5 of them. And so, yeah, I was still in contact with some of them because we were like, just like, the idea was like posing ourselves just like a neutral new node in the Bitcoin network. We were just like a node. Bitcoin doesn't require you any gender, anything. And we were just like discussing without asking many questions. I remember these statistics. There was this site Condense. I don't know if it's still a thing. How many people are using Bitcoin, and the gender distribution was really funny. It was just like 96% men, 4% women. And from my experience, it was really realistic. It was exactly the number of women around at the time. But Strong women for sure. Definitely strong women that really changed the Bitcoin space. One that I remember was the Bitcoin mom. And Bitcoin Mom, for me, was like this mythological creature that I met on Nix, and that I met in real life, which is also like related to a Bitcoin hero who is Jack Mallers. But for example, I knew Bitcoin Mom before him at the time, so definitely, the quality of the women was very high already.
Yeah, I thought I'd ask about that because now it's 2026 and a lot
Mm,
of people who are interested in getting into Bitcoin, well, like women, a lot of women who want to get into Bitcoin, a lot of the times they don't even go to Bitcoin meetups because they feel
yeah.
like there's not enough women there. And that happens to me too until now, right? Like
Uh,
there are times that I'm like, I don't know if I want to go there. I don't know any women who's going unless I'm going with one of my female friends in the Bitcoin
yeah.
space, right? So
Yeah.
so it must be like even more interesting than in that sense because like you kind of have to be like just like tough and also maybe like not care so much about maybe being the only woman in the room also, right?
Yeah, I think it's something that I changed my mind over time. At the beginning, I was like, who cares about this? But now I get it why it's important also to have a communication and events more like women friendly because we can like feel more familiar with each other. We can feel more comfortable discussing this topic. And something that people told me in the past really changed my mind. It was like, this guy told me, I wanted to bring my girlfriend because in this meetup, I was sure there was you. And you are just like a normal person, an average person, not just like a shady Bitcoiner with a hoodie, a dev,
Mm.
or whatever. You are just like normal. And to me, it was a giant compliment. And I was like, okay, so people can relate to me. It's okay. It's a feature in this case that people can look at me and see it like I can be a Bitcoiner just like her. And so I changed my mind. And for example, I will participate in the Women Summit organized by Natalie Brunel and Efrat. They involved me in this beautiful event. There is going to be online, if I remember correctly, 4 and 5 of March. So many Bitcoiners, women Bitcoiners are participating. And I am very curious to see what is the energy, what they are doing, how they connect. If we know each other, we can like create an even a stronger network and tell people, okay, there is this community in this place. You can go there and meet other women, or you can share your project and you can do something together. They can share the skills and so many things. And I think it could be really important in this at this point, and something that at the beginning I was like, I don't want to be remembered because I'm a woman. I want to be remembered because of my job. And it's something that I still agree on. But there are other things that I can see that are important. Women tend to communicate slightly differently, and so some things could felt like barriers. And also, for example, for physical events, maybe you don't feel comfortable going there
Mm-hmm.
if you don't have a friend or other women. And so safety is something important. Safety, how do you feel safe
Yeah.
in an event? And so
Especially when
this
you don't know anyone there, right?
yeah,
Especially
yeah,
and
exactly.
not all women also know how to mingle with men, right? So I think that's also
Yeah,
something we have to keep in mind, just like how a lot of men don't know how to mingle with women, right? So
absolutely.
yeah, I think like, it's not about like gender wars, not about men versus women, right? I've always worked in tech, like for like almost 15
Mm,
years. And a lot of the times I would find myself being the only woman in the room, right? Or the only girl in the boardroom or at a meeting. So it was, pretty easy with me to like, hang out with the boys. I have a lot of guy friends, and a lot of the time they treat me, I'm like, as if I'm one of their bros, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm
I
kind
can
of
relate.
yeah, so like for me, like that's fine, but like when you really don't know anybody like at an event, it's mostly men, and now you have no female friend to go with, like that can be quite intimidating, even for someone like us, right, or someone like me who knows how to get along with men. So I can only imagine for women who might be interested in attending Bitcoin events, but then they're already like,
Yeah.
they already don't know how to like mingle with men. So,
But also,
yeah,
I mean, the topic, Bitcoin topic, is very masculine because it's the intersection of many male-dominated fields. So if you put together finance, technology, and then you put together, also business as a strong male energy, all together, there is this niche of things that are still male-dominated. So it can feel like a topic really intimidating by itself. And so it's
yeah,
important that maybe some women can explain it to you so you can relate. But once you understand that this tool is completely gender neutral or even
exactly,
more
yeah,
powerful for women in a way, because we can protect our value, our
yeah,
savings even better and even more, well, that's really, really powerful. It's one of the first time in the history that we can we are so free to not depend on men in
yeah,
that. So it's important to continue with education on this. So once you can see this freedom, this tool of financial freedom, it really changes your perspective. It takes a lot of time because otherwise it's a tool of speculation, is a tool of for bro guys doing their trading speculation or just Bitcoin maximalist on Twitter discussing with their muscle and talking about meat all the time, which is
yeah,
something that is correct, right?
yeah, it is, yeah.
It's something that is true. But Bitcoin is even more powerful for other target, so it's important to keep telling people about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you. I think it's so important for women to be financially savvy and to really know how to manage their finances, how to make money, how to keep money, how to grow money. And understanding Bitcoin for me, actually, it's like it helped me with that, like, with personal
Mm.
finance.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
because I don't want to depend on men or, anything like that. It's really just like, I think about like, what if like one day I get married and then my husband, is unable to work, right? Or he passes away for whatever reason, knock on woods, and then now it's like I have to take care of my family. So I'm going to have to be resourceful. I'm going to have to be financially savvy and take care of the household, right? And even then, even if like my husband is like highly functional and whatsoever, like I always want to be that woman who understands finance, who knows like, where the money comes from, what we're doing with the money, how we can grow the money, how we can protect it, right? And understanding Bitcoin definitely made me realize like, what's going on with our, money right now with like the fiat system, right? How it gets devalued and all of that. So I think it's very important for women to understand Bitcoin because, as a woman, you can work so hard, right? And try to save your
yes.
money, and, hopefully, like, you find someone that you can build a life with and all that and, have some money to retire with. Yeah. But like when your money in your bank account or even your investment is getting devalued over time, like what are you working for? Right.
Yeah,
And
right.
that can affect our mental health, that can affect us on so many levels. And these are actually some of the things I talk about with my female friends who are in Bitcoin. Like we would talk about
Hmm.
like relationships, we would talk about dating, and then somehow it would always go back to Bitcoin, like because we end up like talking about like the financial system too when we're
But
talking
that's
about
so cool.
culture. Yes. So I'm like, so
Wow.
that's why I was like, it's very interesting, and if only like more women actually understand fiat currency, Bitcoin, the financial system, like they would be they would be very interested in attending this kind of events that a lot of Bitcoiners organize, right? And
That's so cool.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So and now you're doing Plan B Network too. It's based in
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Lugano.
Yeah, well, Plumbing Nectar is actually a project with people scattered all around the globe, but we also have a physical places co-working, and one of the definitely the biggest one is right now in Lugano, Switzerland. So we collaborate a lot with the Plumbing Initiative, who is run from here, along with the Town Council of Lugano, beautiful Lugano. I love living here. I cannot chill it enough. And also with other investors. And so we are trying to do our best to promote Bitcoin, education, payments. And so I think Lugano is a very nice example of a Bitcoin city because there are like more than 300 shops and services accepting Bitcoin. So this summer, it happened to me that my bank account, thank you Revolut, closed my bank account from one day to another. And so I had to survive. I decided to survive on Bitcoin only for like 11 days. And here in Lugano is possible. So I
Wow.
tested it. And so I've done everything that I wanted because if you think about it, you have like 300 shops and services accepting Bitcoin in a very small town because Lugano is kind of small. There is a concentration of these services, which is like probably one of the fewest example in the world. And so it was possible for me to do that. And I was really surprising and positive. And so we have payments in Bitcoin. We have so many startups doing Bitcoin things here. We have, we're doing so many things. The Plan B Forum in October, the giant event where Bitcoiners coming here from all over the world. And we have education, we have the schools, we have contents online. So we never stop doing Bitcoin things. And the last one is the Cypher Tank that is going to be aired like in very, very soon, actually, in 10 days. And so you are going to discover what we have created. And so we are doing our best to spread the Bitcoin in the territory, in real life, and doing the most thing that we can and trying to create value with our actions.
Oh, that's so interesting. So, Plan B Network started when exactly? When was it founded?
So Plan B Network is just like the educational part, I would say, but also like a co-working managing of Plan B Initiative. So Plan B Initiative is just like the brand that is doing so many things around Lugano, and not only Lugano, for example, also El Salvador, because there is going to be the Plan B El Salvador forum in like less than 10 days. So I'm going to travel to El Salvador in a week to participate to the Plan B in El Salvador. And so there are many things that Plan B Initiative are doing. So there is also the funds, foundation, and Plan B Network is like mainly focused on the education on Bitcoin as an
I
idea.
see.
So mm.
Wow, that's so interesting. And you're head of communications there, right?
Yeah, actually, yeah, out of communication for all Plan B at the moment. So, but things are still moving. So, like, I feel very comfortable. I decided to switch back actually in doing communication, which is a passion of mine, something that I love to do. Last year, I have been like the director of for Plumbing Network, and it was like a biggest, way bigger role than now. But actually, I decided to move to something like where I can give more value. And actually, if I can tell the truth, it's also a role where I can stay a little bit more with my kids and do the things that I love, because I truly believe that one of the best things of Bitcoin is just like we can rebalance our focus and time, because we have this tool that is that is protecting our time, our value, our job.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's important also to focus on our free time and special time. And for me, being a mom of two, they are growing so fast. I know it's a cliche, super cheesy, but after the last year, I worked, and I realized well, actually, they are growing too fast, and I'm missing some
Mm-hmm.
parts. It has been an epic year, but this year I want to find my balance, and hopefully, this is going to happen. It is already starting, and I am enjoying this week. And I think it's just like for many Bitcoiners. We are very ambitious people, of course, but we tend to have many projects, many things. But in the
Mm-hmm.
end, Bitcoin really, really make you focus on low time preference. So sometimes you stop, put everything in perspective, and see the real value. Um, Also in your life, it's not easy, but I think
Mm-hmm.
it's one of the lessons that Bitcoin gives to you.
And that's what I find interesting actually in the Bitcoin space. It's that, it's those values, right? Like family values,
Yeah,
generally speaking, having low time preference, eating quality food, like advocating for eating
yeah,
quality food, advocating for health.
so
Like it's
important.
a bunch of things that I feel that I value all in one space, right? And that's one of the things
Correct.
that got me interested in the Bitcoin space.
Interesting. So I have a question for you. So you were starting from this field and found Bitcoin, not the opposite, right? you were probably interested in this topic before Bitcoin, or?
Yeah, so with me it was like I was always into personal finance, right? I was working in
Okay.
tech, but I was like, how do I like, grow my money? So I would listen to
Nice.
yeah, because I'm like I was working so much and I'm like I feel like
Yeah.
I just like money comes in and out, right? Paying all the bills and I was living in Toronto at that time. And then I was like, but I want to get married one day, I want to have a family, I don't want to just be like, I marry my husband and then I'll just depend on him, right? Like financially I didn't really want to be that person and I wanted to like have like like my own like purpose and all that stuff, but I was really into like personal finance. And one day I was listening to Robert Kiyosaki and he was just like buy gold, silver and Bitcoin. And at that time, I already
Well,
had some
I remember.
altcoins, right? But I was not really into, Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. And then I was like, okay, let me get into this. And then I watched some videos and then I got into Bitcoin, Twitter space somehow. It was during the pandemic. And then I was just like, this is really interesting. And I just fell in the rabbit hole and I was like, okay, there's something here. And I just kept buying Bitcoin and I got into Bitcoin Twitter, met some friends there, met them in person in real life at conferences. And I was just like, this is so cool. Like I have so many core values that I share with these people, right? Like, back to like family values, having a low time preference, valuing health and wellness at the same time, right? But at the same time, also like, aiming to like have a positive impact on the world in whatever form. And I feel like that's what you're doing right now, Mir, right? You're into health, you
Yeah,
value
definitely.
your
Definitely.
family. Yeah, like
Yeah,
you're into
yeah,
health,
yeah.
you value your family, you have your own purpose, and you are making a positive impact on the world by doing all these things that you are doing in the Bitcoin space. And I personally admire that. And, when we were talking last week about, you having a family and doing all these things at the same time, it truly, truly inspired me because, you're showing to, not just women, but to men and women that it is possible to have a meaningful work. It's possible to have a sense of purpose and pursue your goals, pursue your interests, and have a loving, supportive spouse and raise a family with that person, right? And you're both supporting each other. And it's
I
amazing.
strongly believe this. I think in general it's possible, but Bitcoin makes it easier.
Mm-hmm.
It, because in a way, you put everything in perspective, and also it's a powerful, once again, it's a powerful tool. You are just like thinking that you want to invest your time in a meaningful way. And so you don't accept compromise. You don't care about things that are not quality things anymore. And you don't feel guilty for taking care of your health and wellness because you know this is where the real value is, because you are sort of thinking that if you're taking care of yourself, it is a value for your kids and your legacy too. And everything is interconnected in the end. So, for example, for me, it's super important. Every day I work out basically. So 5 days over 7, I work out because it's like, and I don't feel guilty. I feel that I'm doing the best thing for myself, for my kids, and also for my job, because it's like I am balanced, and also I taking care of my longevity on the over time. It's super important. And I know that it's just like adding something, but it's not adding something. Is if everything is interconnected, it makes complete sense to invest some time in this. And at the same time, doing meaningful projects, you get so much energy in doing something that is impactful and something that is important for yourself. You are not frustrated. So you are going to have a lot of energy to reinvest in your family. So if you start to think about this wheel, where everything is important and interconnected, it can really work. But I think it's also important to have like people that is going to support you. So me and Giacomo, we work together. We've been always work together. Probably we had our first discussion as our co-workers 1 month ago. It was the first time after years, but it wasn't even that tragic. We connect very well also doing our project, and many times is the one like, you stay at the job, I go home with the kids. So we rebalance ourselves very well in that too. So also our family is helping with the kids, so they can stay with the family. I think grandfathers, grandparents are super important as their role. If you're lucky enough to have them around, it's super important growing a family like this. So in the past we traveled more. Once you have kid, probably something that you want to change a little bit. You're more like, even if we travel, kind of, we travel a lot too. But for example, we decided to travel probably because it was like November. Giacomo was in El Salvador, and then he came back. We saw each other for one day, and and I went to Asia, to Japan and Taiwan. So in November we met probably for one day.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a crazy month. Not going to do it again, probably, but because when you have kids, you want to be a little bit more stable. But still, we managed to survive a crazy month like November.
Yeah, and it's pretty unconventional, right? I feel like,
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to have you here in this podcast, because you're pretty original and unconventional, even your way of life. But at the same time, it's still rooted in, strong, values, right? Like family, low time preference, courage too, because it takes courage to do what you're doing.
I think so. I think also, I mean, just like you want to, I don't have a formula. This is the formula that is working for us. One example is just like, probably at some point you feel that you have to like have all the things together. For example, in parenting is an example that I do all the time. At the beginning, I was kind of guilty for not homeschooling my kids because many Bitcoiners are doing this. The majority of people around this area are very keen to homeschooling. And then at some point, I was like, I'm doing the best for my family. I do the best for myself. This is working for us. I don't have to get a full package. And this is the real freedom, because otherwise, you think that you are like a free person doing like the most unconventional things, but you are a slave or of
Mm-hmm.
like all the things that you have to do to be a full Bitcoiner, to be a full whatever. Nope, I don't care. I want to feel free. And if I'm doing something wrong, I will change my mind. I will, we are going to find our formula again. So I think homeschooling for us is an example. People expect us to homeschool our kids, and I don't care if people are disappointed. It's my life, and it's working for us. And I'm very like happy if it's working for other families, and I'm very admired. I really don't judge their choice because. Actually, I have still a strong admiration. I still think it's one of the best configuration. But altogether, what we are doing, at some point, something you have to pick your battles too. And so, in our case, it's working perfectly like this. And there are many other topics. So another kind of controversial. So recently, I kind of switched to like a more bodybuilder type of diet after years of being full carnivore or whatever, because I am like lifting a lot of weights, and so I need more carbs. And so yes, I'm doing this experiment, and I know it's not like the full Bitcoiner package. It's very it's something that I discussed with Giacomo and other colleagues. Are you sure what you're doing? It's okay. I'm doing this for now. It's working. And I'm going to change my mind. So this is how I experiment, and I feel like free and independent and happy, because to me like to me it's very important to wake up every day and feel that I'm living the best that I can in the condition that I have. And for me, the success is that waking up feeling most of the time, of course, not all the time, but most of the time, very grateful, happy, doing something important and meaningful to me. And if I reach that, I don't care about other things, career, or those are like byproducts. If I'm having a good career, or if I'm having this and this, I am happy. If a project that I'm following is just like a success, I'm happy, of course. But in the end, for me, that's the most important thing. And so for now, confessing, doing like a bodybuilder. Today I ate some rice and chicken, and I'm still surviving.
No, it's so interesting. You have a very, very interesting life. And again, like, you're very inspiring. Now, one thing I'd like to ask you, like, what, unconventional beliefs or views would you like to share with our audience today that, people may not agree with you? I mean, there's a lot already. You're in Bitcoin, you're homeschooling your kids. You're right.
Parenting and kids, for example. So I probably this is a very funny thing because I have two kids and one is fully vaccinated, the other one is zero vaccinated, zero vaccination. So I think it's kind of polarizing because we kind of change our mind on the topic, and I'm still trying to find a balance. So one is as a zero vaccination, but I'm still like studying and considering it. And for example, we live in Switzerland where we have no problem with that because the vaccination are non-mandatory at all. So we can take our time and study if there are some vaccination that are still needed that we want to do to our second one. Well, the first one was the first one actually we were just like more in, even if we were Bitcoiners, we were like in the mindset this is something is needed. Everybody has always done that. Let's do it. And it's something that in insight, I'm just like, you didn't pose yourself questions about this. So it's interesting because you think that if you are a Bitcoiner, you are just like very adversarial and thinking about. But it was like 2018, probably before all the COVID hysteria and these crazy years. And it was just like normal. We didn't question it. But even before, we didn't question what money was actually. Sometimes it's just like a path. You want to be like very nice to yourself because you didn't question. And at the same time, I'm not sure that my second one is not going to have any vaccination. I want to look better at the study, and maybe and probably we're going to end up with 2-3 vaccination. I still don't know. But that's the plan. So I'm going to piece everybody, Novax and super scientific minds with one sentence.
Yeah, well, let us know, what happens with that later on. I'm kind of curious.
Yeah.
But I
They
love
are
how.
very healthy. They are
Yeah.
the same amount
Okay.
of healthy, my kids. And I'm very lucky because they tend to be very healthy kids. They don't get like never illness. And it's interesting because I have a very small sample. They are only two. But for example, the first one was like breastfed for like 5 months and then formula fed because she wasn't getting anything yet from me, even if I had milk. The second one was completely breastfed until like 30 months. And I can see that they have the same very good resistance to illness. But I don't know. Maybe we cannot tell. They are only two. Probably the second one with some vaccination and not being fully breastfed probably wouldn't. I don't know. I don't know. But I think it's like many things. One thing that is kind of controversial. I am not like a super hyper hygienic mom. If something is on the floor, let's have it, eat it. I don't care. I don't tend to over clean my kids. I want to expose them. This is very strong for Italian people. They go outside without scarves, hats, and they can go outside sometimes without jacket, things like this, which are more normal in Switzerland, for example. But for Italian, just like they look at me like I'm a psychopathic because my kids are not covering enough. Something very but probably I'm doing something correctly because my kids are very, very, very healthy generally. So this
Yeah.
is
I
things
think
that I
you're
do.
doing I think you're doing a lot of things right. You know what I mean? Like maybe you're living
I don't know.
well, in a way, like it's unconventional, but you're living off script, right? Like you're not living a life that, like people because normally most people they live, the life as they were told to live that life, like they
Yeah,
see people
it's
around them and
easier.
they're like, yeah, like they see people around them. Okay, that's what they did. That's what I'm going to do. Nobody questions anything. Like what you said, no, at that time you were not questioning money. You were not questioning
Yeah.
vaccines. You were not questioning why are we doing what we're doing. We're just doing them, right? And I feel like with Bitcoin, and for me, it started a lot with Bitcoin. You start to question things like, what?
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? And like for me personally, one of the reasons why I have peace of mind when it comes to money is because I have a better understanding of the monetary system now. I have a better understanding of what
Mm,
fiat currency is and what Bitcoin is. And also because I got into Bitcoin, right? So that gives me peace of mind. And as a woman, I don't need to like constantly like wreck my nervous system to worry about things
yes.
that are
Yeah.
outside of my
Wow.
control, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
can just like, do what's within my control. But that's still living off script in so many ways because, people would tell me, why don't you just buy a house, in Montreal or in Toronto? And I'm like, yeah, in Canada, basically, right? And I'm like, I don't know, right? Like, I want to have options. At this point, with everything that I know, I want to be flexible. I want to have options. And I'm learning that I don't have to live the way everybody else lives. As long as I'm healthy, my nervous
Sure.
system is
Oh.
regulated. I feel at peace. I sleep well at night, right? I have people that I love that loves me who are I support and who sorry that I support and who support me, right? Like those are things that matter in my opinion, and that's something that I also learned being in the Bitcoin space, right? Like even though we don't know a lot of people that well, just because we have all these common values, we tend to like support each other. Like Mir, I didn't even meet you properly until like last week, but you were like one of my early customers when it comes to Tallowed and Free. Like,
Right.
you were just like, who's this girl? Let me support her. Let me buy some tallow from her. And that was
Right.
like so, so, so kind of you, right?
It's still one of the best tallow that I have tried. I tried some here from Switzerland, should be the super high quality level, but I still prefer yours. I'm not
Oh,
shilling. That's for real. Trust me.
all right. Well, I'll quote you on that. Thank you
No,
so much,
absolutely.
Mir.
Absolutely. Super high quality. Great
Thank you.
product.
Well, even tallow, I discovered tallow on Bitcoin Twitter, right? I
Yeah.
was just like there on Bitcoin. I was like, hey guys, what kind of like, what alternative lotion or something like that can I use? My skin is always dry. And they were like tallow. I was like, what is tallow? and now I'm selling tallow for
It's
skincare.
crazy, right?
But that was like in the
Yeah.
Bitcoin Twitter space, right? So
Yeah.
I just feel like, here's another thing. I mean, I'm not so much in the Bitcoin Twitter space now, but I feel like I keep saying Twitter, but X. I guess Bitcoin X
Yeah.
is so weird.
Yeah.
It's not the same. It doesn't have the same sound, but like I think X is so interesting when it comes to
Hmm.
networking and finding like-minded people because that's where I was following you. Like you were, pretty famous there, right? Still is.
Yeah,
That's
well, I just
yeah.
share things.
Yeah, but that's good because that's how people discover like, what you're doing, right? Like that's also how I learned that, you're doing this Plan B network thing in
Yeah,
Lugano.
right. Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't know. So I think like you're doing a good job communicating, the initiatives that you're doing there.
Thank you.
And I guess like we're running out of time here, but I mean, Mir, I love chatting with you. I just feel like there's so much to unpack here. There's so many things to talk about. And I mean, we can always do another one, another episode one day.
Whatever you want, I'd love to.
Yeah, and hopefully it'll be in Lugano, right? Like that would be so cool. I think it would
Yes.
be so cool to like do a podcast interview, but like in person.
We have a room for podcast, so keep that in mind. The room is already set up and it's going to inaugurate it in like probably 2-3 weeks. It's really beautiful room. The setup will be there. So you just come and record. We press record and we can do it. So keep that in mind.
Thank you. I will. And before we, we say bye to each other, like can you tell me like well, not me, but like tell our audience anything that maybe they should know about Plan B network or, the Plan B initiatives?
This They should know about the Cypher Tank because I'm going to launch in an hour actually from the recording of this podcast, the teaser of the Cypher Tank. And I'm super excited because it's something that we and I personally worked a lot during the last month. And so basically it's just like the Shark Tank, but for Bitcoiners, and which means that the judges are not sharks, but those are honey badgers. And we had, because we recorded this during October in Lugano, we had between our judges people like Jack Mallers, Paolo Arduino, just like people, Preston Pish. Easy people like this judging got 100. I'm super excited. I cannot stop it. But we got 150 applications from Bitcoin projects and startups. And the judges selected like the best 6 projects over. So 11 finalists and 6 got money. Some good money for developing their Bitcoin projects. And so our idea is not only to create a format, which is a nice way to give Bitcoin money to Bitcoiners, but it's also like creating an ecosystem of startups and helping them really developing their projects from marketing to relocation to like legal services. We really want these startups to succeed even after the format. It's very important to us, this part. And so, but in the meantime, we are going to air 5 episodes all February. We are going to do the premiere the 31st of January. So it's going to be in less than 10 days. And the episodes are super entertaining. Are just like, I try to make people outside Bitcoin to watch the episodes, and they were like, oh my God, this is really, really something that I will watch. So hopefully Bitcoiners will be happy. And also people outside Bitcoin, so they can like start being educated about Bitcoin. We don't know how it's going to be, but if you want to take a look, it's all for free, of course. And it's like an ethical project because we selected with the judges that we selected great Bitcoin projects. I am lucky enough to know who won.
Mm-hmm.
Other people should have to wait until the end of February, until the last episode.
I see. And they can watch this which platform?
So it's going to be, YouTube or Rumble.
YouTube. Okay, perfect. So I'll include the link in the description.
Yeah, sure. We have a landing page. We're going to launch it in 1 hour. There is the landing page with everything, and then you can watch it. And we are going to shield it from every social, from Nostr to X to Instagram. We want to create some buzz around it. And hopefully the Bitcoin community are going to say, oh, this is interesting, but also it's more important for us. They are doing a good thing for Bitcoin because it's a good format. It's funny, entertaining, but the thing that we really want to convey is just like there's a plenty of great Bitcoin projects, and there are also like investors ready to give money to these startups. When they met each other, the magic will happen.
Yeah, no, this is really awesome. I mean, Shark Tank, but Bitcoin,
yeah,
right?
For Bitcoiners, you're right.
Yeah, exactly. This is awesome. I look forward to watching this. Like, sure. This is really cool.
Soon,
are you
very
guys going to
soon.
do this again? Is this going to be like a yearly thing or?
Hopefully, yes. Hopefully, yes. So next October, we are going to do the recording. And once again, in January, the first episode will publish. Hopefully, we still have the money, the judges and everything, the resources to do it again. And it's not going to be a season 1 only.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing it. And Mir, again, thank you so much
for
your
Margie.
time. Thank you so much for your time, for sharing all these insights, for sharing us all this knowledge, and for inspiring, our audience. I'm inspired, and I'm just like really happy that we got to chat.
It was really nice for me too. It was really nice connecting with you even remotely, but I feel that we know each other already. So come to Lugano whenever you want so we can meet and have this talk in real life.
Yes. All right, Mir, thank you so much.
Thank you, Margie.
Bye.